Hello and welcome to the special edition of One-on-One series of Urban Update. Today is 24th of March 2021. Almost 1 year ago, Government of India announced nationwide lockdown to save lives of people, to contain the spread of coronavirus. But it has had its own implications on urban poor. People lost their jobs. Those were doing some businesses, economic activities in cities, they suffered. But Government of India came out with a scheme to help people to restart their business, their economic activities by giving them financial assistance in, you can say, the loan of rupees 10,000 to street vendors especially, so that they can restart their lives, help their families and run their day-to-day lives. Today we are with none other than Joint Secretary of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Mr. Sanjay Kumar, who is also head of PM Swanidhi scheme, managing and handling this scheme for its nationwide implementation. Welcome, sir, to this interview. And today we will be touching upon some specific issues of urban poor, especially of street vendors. The major problems they face during the lockdown and how the Government of India made policies for them. So let us start with this question, that cities are vibrant places, we all of us know, and that the role of the street vendors is of paramount importance. They bring, they add colors to our urban streets life. So what is the idea of the PM Swanidhi scheme and how it is going to help street vendors in India? Because India is a very big country in terms of population, and the population of urban players is also quite high. How the Government of India is going to provide assistance to street vendors?
You rightly said that the street vendors add color to the urban life. I agree with that, because to me there is not a better site than a bustling vendors market where a lot of people are there. At the same time, the vendors provide at our doorsteps a lot of articles which we need in our daily lives at far more affordable rates, which is as compared to what the rates are available in the formal market. But at the same time, if you look at the vendors, I'd just like to give a perspective that street vendors, generally we feel that it is the vegetable vendor or food vendor, or for that matter, persons sitting at the roadside and selling some flowers or something. But street vending ecosystem is quite big. There was a Street Vendors Act 2014, where even the cobbler, even a barber, anybody who is sitting on the roadside or at a public place and doing business has been considered as a street vendor. So the PM Swanidhi scheme, which has been mentioned just now, that covers a whole range of occupations, and generally their population in the urban sphere is close to 2% of the urban population. When the lockdown started, everybody must be familiar with the scenes where people started going by walk to their native places. Then this issue came to our notice, and government, lot of ministries, they came up with their schemes catering to the poor in their domain. As far as urban ministry is concerned, the street vendors, since that act is administered by us, we started looking into the street vending aspect and how to help them out. So what came to our notice is that the access of the street vendors to formal urban economy or formal lending institutions, say banks, or when I say banks or regional rural banks or cooperative banks, was very, very limited. Generally, the street vendors used to rely on taking loans from informal sources, and the rate of interest could be extremely high. In certain cases, it go up to even 6,000%. So that was one need. Second, during lockdown, whatever money they had, as per the anecdotal evidence we gathered during that time, they had consumed that particular amount for their own benefit. I mean, this was for running their families. So definitely there was a need to give them some assistance so that they can restart their business. So that was the background in which this scheme was started. But it's not proper to view this scheme only as a loaning scheme. It provides a proper blueprint for a street vendor to go up the economic ladder. In fact, we speak about 3 tranches of loan. First tranche is 10,000. If you repay in time, second tranche will be of 20,000, and that also if you repay in time, that will be of 50,000. Main idea is to integrate them into formal urban economy, one. And second, of course, how to help them to expand their business. And if we, whatever surveys we have conducted post implementation of the scheme, there are umpteen number of stories where vendors have expressed gratitude to the government that during that particular time, government came to their rescue and helped them restart their business.
So when the government of India envisioned this scheme in June 2020, they launched. So it was a huge task because you are going to cater to a huge population spread across the country. What were the challenges you foresee in implementation, especially, and how did you tackle them?
Once you deal with this particular strata urban poor, there are so many challenges which can come. But broadly, we could see that one, our lending institutions were not designed, or say they didn't have experience to do business with this particular strata. Because if we take out we analyze the data of Mudra Shishu loans, so where the loans up to 50,000 are given into Shishu category. So there what we observed that generally more than 90% loans were there in the upper end of the spectrum of 0 to 50,000 group. So up to 15 or 20,000 or 10,000, hardly there were any substantial contribution from the banks. Then we spoke to the non-banking finance companies, then we spoke to microfinance institutions also. So it broadly emerged that it was only the NBFCs or MFIs which had some footprint with the street vendors. Our formal lending institutions were broadly unaware of that sector. So one, how to encourage our lending institution, that was one challenge. For that, we roped in the Department of Financial Services, their reporting department. At the same time, we looked at the guarantee structure, what hinders these banks to conduct business with the street vendors, or for that matter, the urban poor. So there it emerged that the guarantee structure which is provided by the government so far, that was not enough. So we redesigned the guarantee structure. Second challenge was there that there could be rent seeking, because when government comes up with this kind of scheme, so a lot of rent seeking may place, and third was communication. So as far as rent seeking part is concerned, we designed a end-to-end IT system where no paper document is required. In fact, the applicant need not come to the government office to apply for that. He can go to any kiosk, any common service center, or he can take help of anybody who's known to him through a computer or laptop. He can apply for that. So one, we reduced the visits of the street vendors. Second, communication, because a lot of news was coming that people might view it as a grant scheme. So it is a loan scheme. You have to repay it. So that communication was established through various channels, through the state governments, through the media, through the social media. And third most important part, that who's a street vendor? So that documentation is very important, because this scheme is not available to everybody. But once you announce a scheme of this kind, so a lot of other people may try to come into this fold. So how to ensure a proper documentation for the street vendors? So I would like, as I mentioned before, we have a Street Vendors Act 2014, which has given the responsibility to the urban local bodies to conduct survey and identify the street vendors. But when we analyze the data, the performance of the states and cities was quite, it was on a very wide canvas you can fix, where some are very good performers, some are average, some have not done so well. Plus, at that point, it was not possible to conduct a fresh survey to identify the street vendors. So we introduced a system of letter of recommendation, where on an IT platform, they can come and apply for that. Whatever documents they have, they can just upload it, and we gave the time to urban local bodies to dispose that within 15 days. And I'm happy to share that so far we have identified 25 lakh new vendors across the country which were hitherto uncovered. So these were broadly the 3-4 challenges we could oversee.
Let me put it this way, because correct me if I'm wrong, because I think that the objective of this scheme is not providing just instant relief, but also have a long-term objective of bringing street vendors into a system where they do not face problem, and also they can improve their socio-economic strata. So how do you see that the long-term benefit of this scheme?
Long-term benefit, first predominantly is financial, that they should have access to a formal credit so that they can build on to their work and expand their business. Because generally the loan what we are providing through our various public sector, in fact I am very, very thankful to the public sector banks, the way they have supported this particular scheme. So that loan is available at the rate of 10 to 12%. And if you compare with the general rate at which the money was available to them, that is not even 1/10 of that rate. So we have said that what we have tried to do, that we are providing loan, then we are incentivizing regular repayment. The government is providing an interest subsidy of 7% on timely repayment of the installments. At the same time, we are trying to create a transaction trail which will help build the credit score of the street vendors. So we are giving incentives for the digital transaction. In fact, the vendors can claim up to 1200 rupees as incentive for digital transaction during the period of one particular loan amount. For that, tenure is 1 year. So that is predominantly financial part is there. Second part, we have started another scheme, Swanidhi se Samriddhi, as a part of the PM Swanidhi scheme, where we conduct socio-economic profiling of the street vendors and their families to facilitate them access various kind of government welfare schemes which are being under implementation post 2014, but generally we have observed certain access issues for the urban poor. What we are trying to say, we have selected 8 schemes. So they are broadly into 3 categories. One, welfare schemes like Janani Suraksha Yojana or Matru Vandana Yojana. Second, which is very much important, is expose the urban poor to the social safety net schemes, that is to expose them to insurance products. So we are strongly advocating 2 government schemes, Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana and Suraksha Bima Yojana. And I'm happy to share we have got a very good response from the street vendors and their families. In fact, the number of enrollments under these 2 components are highest. Third, being from the unorganized sector, they need some assistance during their old age. For that, we are trying to talk to them to enroll for the Shram Yogi Mandhan Yojana, which is a highly ambitious scheme of the Government of India, where pension will be available to unorganized sector people post a particular age. So this also we have started to create a social safety net around them and how to expand their business. So these are the short-term objectives. If you look at the long-term objectives, Street Vendor Act gives the role of administration of vending affairs to street vendors themselves. So for that, there is a provision of a town vending committee where 40% of the members come from the street vendors. So though that is in place, it is since 2014, we are trying to strengthen that network and build their capacities so that they can take decisions for their own administration.
I will just come to a point where now we are talking about urban poor. And now India is in a phase where the urbanization is happening at a very fast rate. Because at present we have 35% urban, approximately 35% people living in cities. Maybe I think in 2021 the number could increase further. So the number of people, almost 40-45 crores people will be living in cities. So the role of urban poor in this whole scheme of things, how important it is that for India's growth story in urban landscape?
Look, any society is generally rated the way we treat our poor. That's true for urban poor also, rural poor also. And definitely India initially was spoken as a reluctant urbanizer, but now we are urbanizing very fast. As per 2011 census, our urban population was close to 37-38 crores. But if we take into account the peri-urban areas, because there are a lot of areas look like urban areas, but they have not been declared by the concerned state government so far. If we include that, we have already crossed 60%. So the role of urban poor is extremely important into that, because if we extrapolate the concept of national domestic product or state domestic product to the city level, and we say the city domestic product. So there their role is very important, because that any domestic product made of individuals, they have to participate into this nation building process, and particularly the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister to make this country 5 trillion economy. So that ambition will never will be fulfilled unless we take care of the urban poor well. Now, from where these urban poor come? The main source of urban poor is the people who migrate to the urban areas in search of employment and better opportunities from the rural areas or from small towns. So there is a need to have a proper mechanism how to handle that. Already government is working on that. A lot of studies have been commissioned, and we are taking sincere efforts how to make them access our welfare schemes, how to convince the state government to extend the benefit of their own schemes. Otherwise, urban poor, when they are landing to the urban areas, generally very rough. That there is a need to smoothen that. Plus, we have got one Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Urban Livelihood Mission, which is in implementation since 2014 for the urban poor. It has got 4 or 5 major components. One of the strong components, major component is skill development and placement. So we train our urban poor into market-oriented skills, and we provide them opportunities to either join a wage employment or set up their own micro-enterprise. Second, we organize our urban poor women into self-help groups. So far, we have close to 60 lakh urban poor women across the country into the fold of self-help groups, which provides them an opportunity to access bank loan at affordable rate. At the same time, the collective so formed, they help them raise their voice and ask the demand for the services for which they are eligible. Of course, street vending was another component. And third part, what we have is there shelters for urban homeless. So that scheme, there also we have created space so far across the country for almost 1 lakh urban homeless. So definitely this ministry is trying to play its role to help their well-being, but ultimately it is the role of the state governments and the urban local bodies to take care of that, because the constitutional division of subject is quite clear. It's a state subject. So we keep issuing advisory, we keep talking to the states how to make the life of urban poor better.
Sir, you rightly said that the role of urban poor in achieving what the government is planning, like achieving 5 trillion economy, is very important. You also mentioned that if we have to reach that target, the multiple targets set by different ministries, we have to focus on a lot of things in urban space. You are a qualified civil engineer from IIT and also studied public governance and management from London School of Economics. How do you see the urban landscape changing, and what should be the nation's priority in this domain?
As far as changing the urban landscape, right now, I think from our childhood we have been taught that India lives in villages, but very soon this narrative is going to change, and in a decade or so, majority of our population will be staying in urban areas. And once we know that this is going to happen, there are 2-3 things which we have to do on priority. One, we need loads of infrastructure in urban areas. Still, we cannot say that all the houses are covered with water supply, all the houses are covered with sewer connection, or any mechanism for sewage disposal and treatment. And of course, the road building and lane building, that continues. So we need loads of infrastructure, and government is already focusing on that. State governments, the government of India, we have got 4 or 5 missions. Second part is urban governance part, because with lot of hope and ambition, we introduced 74th Amendment in 1993. But if we look at the implementation of various states and urban local bodies, there are certain states and urban local bodies which have done very well, some which have not done that well, and some still need to be pulled up for their performance. So unless the governance is improved, where every citizen of the urban area is given a proper voice, it should not have that why I am talking about governance, because this urbanization should not happen by accident. We have to plan it, and once you plan it, governance, infrastructure, these 2 issues are extremely important. And third, We have to change our notion of seeing the cities only through infrastructure point of view. City or rural area for that matter, is made of people. So how to make the people's lives better, and how we can reach out to every citizen of this country. And look, we have got so many schemes, so many acts available. There is no need to go do anything new to my mind. If we can make them access all the schemes for which they are eligible, that will be great. I think that will be a big service we can do for our urban people. So that's what I have to say. Look, urban local bodies also have got a role to play towards climate change, but there are a lot of other departments which are working into that direction. There are a lot of departments which are responsible for climate change. For example, traffic police or transport department. They are not under the control of urban local bodies. We have got multiplicity of organizations or departments working in that area. And if you really talk about 74th Amendment, idea was not to have multiple departments working in the urban area. Time has come to hand over all the functions which were there in 74th Amendment to the urban local bodies. And of course, we need to build the capacities. But as the saying goes, the kind of responsibility you give to a person, that kind of talent will be exhibited. Once you give the responsibility, I am sure our urban local bodies, they will come up to that task, and Government of India or state government, they will have to chip in with their efforts to build their capacities in the specific domains in which they are intended to serve the people.
Sir, for giving us insight on how urban local bodies, the role of urban poor in India's urban story, and how the government is helping our street vendors to bring them into mainstream and contribute in socio-economic development of urban poor. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you to our viewers for watching us. Stay tuned. Thank you.